Borderlands 4's optimization at launch leaves a lot to be desired. Looking at PS5, PS5 Pro, Xbox Series X, and S today, the crux of the issue is that frame rates visibly degrade with continuous playtime on console right now. Gearbox's development chief, Randy Pitchford, has acknowledged the problem via social media. An update is in the works to address it, but in the meantime, Randy's suggested fix for sluggish performance on console is to quit the game and restart. Let's see the issue in action then. In my experience, this constant worsening of performance applies to every console, not just PS5 Pro, but also base PS5 and Series X. It's also most obvious in their 60 frames per second performance modes, whereas the 30 FPS quality mode on each tends to hold up better for continuous play, though it might still be possible with enough time on the clock. While using the 60 FPS performance mode on any of PS5, PS5 Pro or Series X, the outlook is good to start. It's mostly a lock at 60, with only a few single frame dips during the game's tutorial and opening missions, nothing too distracting. The reading does gradually worsen after an hour though, and so the big battle in the Howl area is the first warning sign, putting us at the high 40s with similar readings during a later down and outbound mission in a huge complex later on. In short, over a 30 to 60 minute stretch of play, we go down from a 60 FPS line with blips to a constantly wavering 45 to 55 FPS reading, where even a boss battle in a small room like this has PS5 struggling to hit the mark. On Xbox Series X, meanwhile, in these very same areas, these drops are also sadly coupled with screen tearing, slicing the frame at the top 20%. Impressively, it does get worse from here on all formats, and I took some extra time to see the full extent of the drops on base PS5 in particular. Again, this is all continuous play, with lots of death and respawning and, crucially, no returning to the game's main menu to break the run. The Rush the Gate mission as we escort a vehicle has played plunging down to the mid 40 FPS region on PS5 and even dipping into the mid-30s. This is around 4 hours in, and puts the game well outside of the ideal 48 to 60 Hz VRR window for PS5 systems. Next along, a later Wrath of the Ripper Queen mission, after 6 hours of continuous play, takes the player to a new desert wasteland portion of the world. Right away, the reading tumbles, with entire battle set pieces playing out at between 30 to 40 FPS, which is where I called it quits. Now, it's key to stress that some battles and some hectic moments with lots of NPCs, destruction physics, and bullet collision detection will always tank the frame rate. Still, it makes no sense to see drops to the mid-30s by just moving through a barren wasteland, and something is clearly going wrong here. The fix is of course simple. Quitting to the game's main menu and reloading the save all over again cleans up performance in almost every case. Taking base PS5 in example again, it doesn't even demand forcing the app to a close at the system menu. 60 FPS is restored in that barren wasteland drive, and also the Rush the Gate mission, where there are still some lingering dips into the mid-50s. Still, this is mostly where you'd expect base PS5's frame rate to be, and it puts it squarely within VRR range to boot. Reloading each mission with a fresh boot, it's a night and day difference, and ultimate proof that those earlier sub 40 FPS drops aren't just as a result of areas simply being more taxing. So long as I avoid any more than 30 minutes of continuous play, the reading stays close to the 60 FPS mark in the very same spots, with the same GPU and CPU load on screen. There is some variance in weather here, but nothing that would truly affect performance. The precise cause of the issue isn't clear, but curiously, this worsening performance has echoes of the recent Oblivion remaster, another UE5 title where performance degraded over time on console and also improved with a fresh boot. The best working theory for Borderlands 4, as with Oblivion, is that there's some form of a memory leak at play, a cache of data not being flushed from system memory that eventually catches up on the player. Either way, until a patch arrives to fix it, the suggestion to quit and reload your game every time is hardly ideal. Given that performance starts dipping after around 30 minutes to an hour, it's really too intrusive on the overall experience, too regular an interruption. Also, it doesn't solve the game's frame rate issues 100%, where even after a completely fresh boot, the game is still prone to drops into the 40s on base PS5 here. This is often triggered by tasks that are typically designated to the CPU. Object destruction physics, bullet hit detection, AI logic, and rapid traversal appear to be issues, and even a game reset doesn't help. All of this applies in equal measure to PS5 Pro and Series X on their performance modes, where finding a best performer of the three is something of a moot point. Each console is prone to sizable sub-60 FPS lurches given enough time on the clock, and it's just a matter of how long you're willing to keep playing before deciding to reset. There's a second possible workaround in using the 30 FPS quality mode instead. It's obviously a bitter pill to swallow given that 60 FPS is so well matched to Borderlands' high tempo action. A lack of a motion blur toggle to pair with 30 FPS is also a missed opportunity on console here. Still, the lower 30 FPS ceiling appears to disguise many of the CPU bottlenecks evident on the performance mode, and equally, I've yet to see any signs so far of that degrading performance issue. PS5, PS5 Pro, and Series X each run at higher visual settings on quality mode, and based on hours of testing, it's more robust in hitting that 30 FPS target, even after continuous play. Impressively, a long session on even Xbox Series S poses very few issues. There's no 60 FPS performance mode on Series S, but outside of a few single frame drops, it's holding up much better than expected at the target 30, which is promising. All signs point to Borderlands 4 being much better optimized as a 30 FPS experience on console then, though more demanding later missions may well throw a spanner in the works. Again, it's very possible that with enough time, issues might surface similar to the performance mode, but halving the frame rate appears to disguise the problem for at least long enough that it's not as immediately glaring.